told me not to smoke drugs, but I wouldn't listen. Never thought I'd get caught and wind up in prison. Chalk it up to youth, but young age I ain't dissing. I guess I just had to get it out of my system. Out of my system. Out of my system. Oh Lord, I never ain't missing. Glad I went and got it all out of my system.
All right, welcome to Uncarcerated. We are not live. This show is pre-recorded, but we are fully staffed. For the first time, we've got myself, Leigh Scott,
Kevin Scott,
Kelly Lynch,
and Julius Irvin.
That's right. So Kelly, our good buddy, Community Spring cohort, is going to join us monthly. Kelly, it's exciting. We've had you on the show as a guest, and now you are going to be a co-host.
I'm super excited to be here.
I can tell.
Yeah, I'm just like glowing to be here.
We didn't want it just to be three dudes all the time, so we pulled Kelly in to join us on the show. So excited about that. And this is the first time that we've all been together with a guest, because that's the point of this show. It's not just us yakking away, but it's to follow the stories and lives of folks through their journey with the justice system, coming home from the justice system. And so we're going to talk to Shelley Seymour today about her journey, which has been really amazing to watch over the last year. Anybody have anything before we jump into the interview? Anything pressing, anything coming up that you're excited about? Julius, I know you've got, you and I are going to Atlanta soon. You just came back from Atlanta. You basically live in Atlanta now. Can you talk about your trip to Atlanta, what that was all about?
Okay, so my trip to Atlanta was fire, dog. I mean, I was around a lot of justice impact leaders. It was super cool to see like what I'm doing here locally in comparison to the greater like national work. And you know, sometimes it's like I can have blinders on and just get stuck in a rut being here in Gainesville because I think I have such a forward way of thinking, right? And some people only think locally. So to have my thinking and what we're all doing put inside the larger context was super fire. It was super good to be around people who aren't so sensitive. You know what I'm saying? I could just be myself. And just seeing Atlanta for the first time. I had always heard about Atlanta, you know, heard what a mecca it is for black people. Just to see so many black people coexisting with each other in the most peaceful way. And like all different types of black people, you know, different styles of culture represented by their clothing, by their just expression. It was just cool, bro. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. And we get to go back in a couple weeks for impact training for Represent Justice. So for those of you who don't know, Julius and I are 2026 Represent Justice Fellows. So we both just got done making our own documentaries, which will be out in July. Kelly, can you let the show know what you do? And I just saw you speak at the Reentry Conference. Any news and notes from our local 10th anniversary Reentry Conference?
Reentry conference was great. Yeah. So since last time I was on the show, my fellowship at Community Spring ended. I went and worked at River Phoenix Center for Peace for a while, worked at Released Reentry for a while. I joined the Dream Justice cohort and trained nationally in criminal justice reform advocacy and policy advocacy.
Can the show take credit for all of this? Because it seems like you were on the show and then all these things happened.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And so now I am the operations manager at Community Spring. I'm overseeing our systems change fellowship that we restructured. Okay. So we do it on a rolling basis now. That's why it's so cool to have Shelley here today, because she was our first fellow in the rolling basis. And I won't give away too much of what she did, but she worked on some really cool stuff. And so I'm really happy to be here, really happy to be at Community Spring. It's my dream was to always come back there and work there. And somehow I convinced them to hire me and do that.
You got the job I always wanted.
You got the job. You never stopped fucking talking about it. That's how you got the job.
I think so, yeah.
Which it totally worked.
I mean, you use the Kevin Scott method, which is just go somewhere and don't leave.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not worth the hassle of trying to get rid of somebody.
Just latch on like a leech. That's great.
Kevin, you got any updates from your life, from Just Income, any travel coming up?
Yeah. Well, yep. I'm going to a wedding today.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
and
great.
moving
Anyway,
on.
later today, going to a wedding of a guy that I was in prison with. He's been home for a while. He's getting married today. I'm going to go see him, which is awesome. I'm going to Austin, Texas to GI Now conference, Guaranteed Income Now, which is people around the country working on guaranteed income work, which is cool. We are definitely a noteworthy program in the national landscape of guaranteed income because we target folks who've come out of incarceration. In the last couple of weeks, Prison Policy Initiative posted a briefing and called for national replication of our work here, which is really like an incredible validating endorsement. Basically said like the work happening in Gainesville should be how the rest of the country is doing business, which is pretty rad. And it came from people in this room, people who've been through some shit, which I think is why it's become so impactful, and it's why it's making such a big difference. And then this past week, I was on iHeartRadio on a show again, talking about our work. So hopefully reaching more ears, more people paying attention to what's happening here in Gainesville. And now we're going to hear from this piece of shit.
For those of you who don't know, Kevin is the director of Just Income over at Community Spring, where they have given out $1 million to over 150 people coming out of incarceration, which is was like a social experiment that went right. Every piece of it went right, and it was amazing. And when you look at the numbers for just basic reentry and case management, it pales in comparison to just giving people money. And I think the undercurrent for all the work we do, I work with families that are experiencing homelessness, whether we work in reentry spaces, the undercurrent for everything, homelessness, mental health, substance use, all of it's economic insecurity. So the more we can advance economic justice policies, the better. I do want to ask, though, at this GI conference you're going to in Austin, how many gastrointestinal doctors show up at the wrong conference, do you think?
Not enough.
Okay.
Not enough.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'm so glad that I've got all my best friends on this show. Super excited about the next steps for this show. You can find Uncarcerated on our website, uncarcerated.org. And of course, not only on our website, all the shows are posted on uncarcerated.org, but you can find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever podcasts are found. The show is just going to keep getting bigger and better. Julius and I are going to interview our fellow Represent Justice ambassadors in Atlanta coming up in May. So we'll have like a whole series of really cool people that are doing awesome work. Super excited about that.
Sick.
Although I did want to take a road trip with you and you declined. I'm driving to Atlanta and Julius was like, I don't want to be in the car with you for 6 hours. So
Yeah. Pass.
All right, so time to get to our guest. Our guest today, Shelley. I met Shelley like a year and a half ago, and to see where she was, not just like where she was to where she is now, but just like your whole demeanor has changed. The fact that you're less frazzled and stressed and so many pieces of your life have come back together. I'm really excited to hear your journey, how you got into this, how you are climbing out of it, what that looked like, who was responsible for helping, like how you did it, you know. So tell our tens of listeners about yourself.
Okay, hello, I'm Shelley Seymour. Well, I'm just as impacted for sure. I was released from prison in 2024. Thought I was doing great. Ended up 7 months later going back to jail. So, it was that point of where you just wanted to just give up because you thought, well, fuck, damn, can I do anything right? So once I got myself out of that, I found myself homeless for the first time in my life at the age of 36. And I went to Grace, which I was new to Gainesville altogether. So I knew nothing about Gainesville. So I went to Grace thinking it was going to be this place that was going to help you get on your feet, this and that. It was a total fucking opposite. It was brutal. It's a lot of mental health issues, drug use, just a lot of things going on that I was just new to, being around 24/7 like that close up. And it's really a place that you have to be determined within yourself to make it, because if not, you will get lost. But I find myself having days of wanting to give up, but I have 5 children, so that was my focus every day. Even when I didn't want to get up, I didn't even know where I was going, but I would get on that bus and I would go somewhere and try to make something happen for myself. And it worked. I started getting connected with the right people. I met Leigh at Release Reentry. And I also met his wife, Abigail, in the garden, which that used to help me to have calmer days, go in the garden and, my little flowers and stuff, my little tomatoes. And then being connected with them, I got connected with Community Spring. And I don't know, it just started taking off from there. I ended up getting me a job at Wendy's. I was riding a bicycle to Wendy's. And I ended up breaking my leg after a week of working there. So I was just like, are you kidding me? So I don't know. I just worked.
You broke your leg at Wendy's?
No, I got the job, right? And a week later, I broke my leg.
But not at Wendy's.
Not at Wendy's.
Okay, perfect.
It was at Grace, definitely not at Wendy's.
Kevin smelled lawsuits.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
a
frosty
shark
money.
over there.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
No.
Can you talk a little bit about, and feel free y'all to interject with questions at any point, but I wanted to pause and just talk about how many things, when you come home from incarceration and you end up at a shelter or a transitional living house or a sober living house, talk about how many things have to go right. It seems like between food insecurity, finding employment, transportation, all the different things that can happen, interacting with other folks that are in distress and vulnerable. Talk about all the things that have to go perfectly, because if one thing goes wrong, it all unravels.
Well, and in my opinion, everything has to just be on point, because if one thing is not on point, everything else, like you say, falls apart. But I think it starts with the mental, with your mind. You have to be in a headspace to where, like, oh, I know where I'm at, but I know where I want to be. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to fucking do it. So I'm not going to say every day was bad, but every day definitely wasn't the best, but I made the best of it and just made that shit happen. I can't even tell you how I did it. I'm going to be honest with you, because sometimes I'm still like, how did I do that? Because last March, I had nothing. I didn't even have, the only thing I had was food stamps. And to come from that to now having my own place, my own car, I'm working, I have all 5 of my children back with me. It's just a blessing, man. And like the universe just really like opened up and just fucking helped me.
When, for folks who like maybe don't know, you left prison. When you walked out, what did you leave prison with? Like, what did you have? Like, what have they given you, or what did you have?
Oh, I had a card with $50. I went back to the person that helped me to go to prison. Went back to him and my children, thinking in my head that it was gonna work, but it was already over. I just didn't know it yet. And I don't know. It started out good, and then it went back to how it was, and it was just like I don't know. It was just worse than before.
So you left an abusive situation, prison, and immediately got back into like a codependent, toxic, abusive situation.
Yes.
How did you extract yourself from that?
Well, to be honest with you, so I'm not really a drug user, but I always, smoke weed or whatever. But I guess you can say that I just leaned in heavy on the drugs, which is also not good. And I even started drinking a little bit. And I don't even drink, and so just to cope with, I'm just getting out. I don't have anything. He's stressing me out. I'm still trying to get acclimated with everything around me again. Being back home to my children, being a mother, trying to stay calm and not get aggravated. It was really rough. There was days I had to just walk outside the house and just like scream, because we were in the country, because I just couldn't take it, and so I found myself doing drugs, which was not cool now that I think about it.
Yeah, but I mean, you were trying to escape mentally somehow.
Yeah, because I had to, because I just didn't see a way out, man. It was just like, first of all, I felt like, well, I'm never going to be anything. Like, I mean, just, I feel like I can't do anything right. I had all these, I did all these things in prison, which, let me talk about that, which was a very bad space, very negative.
Prison's negative.
Yes.
Yeah, I found it
Yes.
to be too. Yeah.
Yes.
Did not find it cool.
At all. And I have claustrophobia, like, really bad. So it was really bad for me because I was locked in a cell. So I rarely slept. I was constantly in the doctor's office, because I just couldn't sleep. I just couldn't live, man. It was like I was crying myself to sleep every night. It was hard, but it was some people that actually cared. It was an officer, I'll never forget. He would leave the door cracked for me. He was like, you can leave it cracked until the next shift come off, and then you're gonna have to close it. Just so I can get some rest, because I couldn't stand being behind the locked doors. It killed me. So then when they told me I was going to work, not work release, but a type of work release, the work camp, I was like, yes. I didn't even know that I was eligible, but I went, and it was like I could breathe a little bit. I actually started sleeping, and because it was an open bay. And so, it got a little better, and I did all these programs to help better myself. And I got out to use those things that I learned, and none of it was put in effect. Yeah.
Kelly, I'm interested in your perspective here as a woman coming out of incarceration. For women, it's so easy to get back into the toxic mess that you left in the first place. And I think that's something that women face that men don't face as much. I mean, I think we do too. We get back into toxic messes for sure. But I think you all are much more vulnerable to predatory experiences like that. Can you talk about, like, when you hear her talk about that, what does that bring up for you?
Yeah, so for me, for sure, fully agree with everything you just said. For me, getting out, it was drugs. Going in, it was drugs. The reason why I went in was drugs. So when I got out, I knew very clearly I needed to, at the very least, avoid drugs, or else I'm going back in. If it's a week later, if it's a year down the line when I'm full on addicted again and driving with drugs on me or something, I know one behavior I can do to for sure go back to jail, and it's that. And so, like, I was really motivated to stay clean, and this last time I was in and came out, I was in a situation where I didn't have. I've been in Shelley's situation before and gone back to relationships that were toxic and not good. I think maybe, I don't know if this is the right wording, but fortunately for me, when I got out in 2022, I didn't have a relationship like that to return to. And so, but I knew the environment and the people, places, and things that would for sure put me back in. And so, somehow I stayed motivated to do that. But that brings me to a question I wanted to ask you, Shelley, because, like, some of us here saw that you were at Grace, and then you were at Community Spring, and then you were living in, like, a shelter situation. Because now you have all these things that you named, and, like, in your hardest and darkest times, where were you finding that hope and drive? Because every time something was in front of you that you needed, and by the way, I'm just talking about the normal things we all need, like a roof, a car, a job. Those things are so hard to get. But I watched you crush it over and over again. And when you have, like, nothing and you're on the yard at Grace, where were you finding that hope and that motivation to push forward and accomplish the things you needed to accomplish? Because it's so admirable. I need to know where it's from.
Okay, well, I can only say that, man, the blood of my ancestors runs so deep within me. It was a strength that I did not know where it came from, but that's where it came from. My ancestors empowered me, and the love for my children kept me going. That's the only thing that I could say that helped me. Yeah, and the universe just opened up to me, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to say something, right? So, I met Shelley, like, kind of at the beginning of her story, like, when she first came out of prison, and I had no idea that she was going through all that she was going through. So I think that one of the things that remained the same in you, it's just outside looking in, was, like, this inner desire for love and just peace. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's something that has to stay the same, or has to not change when you come home from prison, or when you're going through these kind of situations. It's like your thinking, your thoughts, because a lot of the times for me, it's like the the same environment that I experienced in prison was the same environment I was living in kind of like before I went to prison. You know, being around the same environment at Grace was the same environment in my neighborhood. It was a lot of people using drugs, a lot of hopelessness, a lot of negative stuff. And coming from a neighborhood like that, it doesn't really promote mental health. It doesn't promote like chasing your dreams. It's kind of like a dream killer in neighborhoods like that, because talking to your neighbor about what you're going through, all I ever heard was, shit, me too. I'm going through the same thing. You'll be all right. while feeling like I'm not all right at all. But being told you'll be all right by my parents, by my siblings, by all of my peers, because we were all going through the same thing, learning how to just accept it and deal with it as best as we could without trying to identify the root causes or change anything. And I think that a lot of these systems like prison, like Grace, they deal with the symptoms of a greater problem and punish the symptom while never addressing the like deeper internal thing that causes these thoughts and patterns and behaviors in people or whatever. And you just gotta stay strong, man. For everything good in my life that people like give me credit for, say that's great, call me an overcomer, there was always something extremely negative happening that caused me to like have to disconnect from my feelings and attach to like a greater reality, because sometimes the truth would be one thing, but the feelings of the matter make you feel the opposite. The truth is I have to keep going. The truth is I can make it if I just don't stop. And feelings will say, man, fuck this. I need to stop right now, man. I can't take it no more. And sometimes it's like you can know the truth of a situation, but your emotional state is so opposite of that truth because you haven't lived it yet. You're just pushing toward it. And the emotional state to have you like feeling like while you're doing the thing, you're actually doing the thing that's going to pull you out. But the emotions of what you've been going through and where you're at have had you feeling like just terrible while actually doing the thing until you get the thing. So, I think one of the greatest things that I saw inside of you from the first time I met you at Community Spring doing a storytelling workshop to seeing you at Grace and recognizing, dang, she's homeless. No matter where I saw you at, you had a positive light, a smile. I literally saw you at Grace in front of the CSC. Like, is that Shelley? And when I approached you and talked with you, I saw the same Shelley that I saw at the storytelling workshop, the same Shelley I see now. So I think that you've always been like this great person. Just the outside circumstance hadn't matched your inner light and who you actually know that you are. And that can be confusing. Like, I know I'm somebody. I know I'm worth it. But nothing around me is suggestive of this truth, and I have to just push toward it regardless of the fact that I don't see it. Nobody's telling me it's possible. So that's something that I have and that I see in you as well. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I think Julius speaks to something that I think all of us in different ways can relate to, which is in our traumatic times, we had no evidence in our life that it was going to get better or that we deserved for it to get better. You know, I only had evidence that relationships ended in death, loving something ended in heartache, things were going to get stolen away from me, I was always going to be in poverty. I had to pretend that it was going to get better. You know, I had no evidence to be grateful for anything. I started doing a gratitude list in prison, just writing 3 things down a day that I was grateful for. But I didn't really have evidence of anything that I was grateful for, right? I was surrounded by negativity. And in all these systems where we've piled poverty on top of poverty, whether it's a shelter or a neighborhood or a jail or a prison, you are piling hopelessness all in one place. And so you almost have to like pretend that it's going to get better or that I deserve better. You know, can you speak to that, Shelley, that idea that like, you know, you're almost pretending to be hopeful or grateful for something and then you manifest it, you know? I mean, that's what we call manifesting, but can you talk about where that comes from?
Yeah, well, first, I'm a writer too, not just a mother. I'm a poet, and I remember just writing where I wanted to be, what I wanted to be in my poetry. I could see myself, you know, different places. I would write that in my poetry, but I read this book, and I can't remember what the name of this book is, but it was about this man. He went to prison, but he made this plan. Like he it's called a game plan, the game plan. And he would write down things that he wanted to do and wanted to accomplish, like in a list, you know, from, you know, least to greatest, I could say. And that's what I did for myself. I actually made this list, and I still have it, of what I wanted to do, even though I was at Grace and I didn't see myself doing anything past Grace. I just really thought I was at the bottom. Like, how am I going to dig myself up out of this? But I just had this, I don't know, I just knew where I wanted to be. I just never forgot where I wanted to be, even though where I was at and I couldn't see it. I would go by my game plan, be like, this is what I want to have. This is where I want to be. And I can actually say right now, I've got a couple of things checked off. And it's just awesome to have this, I don't know, like this yearning to be somewhere and you don't even know how you're going to get there and actually accomplish it.
I mean, earlier you were like, I don't even know where I'm going, but I know I'm going somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to get up and go, put myself into the world.
Yeah.
So I think that like we heard, I mean, I don't want to kiss your ass anymore.
Thank you.
But we did this thing the other day. We all went around the table and said how much Shelley means to us and all this horse shit. But the common theme was like, I don't know, like I just liked her immediately. Like there was just something about like a radiance, like a magnetism in Shelley that was like easily identifiable. It seems like you just like, I don't know, you got some shit.
That pizzazz.
You got that pizzazz, that zhuzh. But so like,
Are we going to start using the word pizzazz again?
Yeah,
I'm
hell
so
yeah.
excited about this. No?
Come on, man.
Hell
Please,
no.
hashtag pizzazz.
No.
That's it. No.
man.
But so like, just for folks that like don't know like how things are, how things work, the real world, you were doing all these things. You had sort of moved from homelessness into stability. You got a job. You were working at Community Spring. You're doing good things in the community. You're doing everything right. You're building authentically. And then you had this like out of the blue horseshit fuckery probation violation. Can you talk about like sort of like despite no matter what you're doing, how the system can still put a hook in you, and it has nothing to do with your behavior, your choices, that is just the way the system operates. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So I don't know. It's just like being on any type of probation. People just look at you as if, I don't know, like you can't do anything right. You don't do anything right. And if you do it right, you would have did it wrong. So it's just like, even though I did all these things, I completed all that I was supposed to complete beforehand, like before time, may I add you, like within the first 2 months, I was like done with everything that I had to do with my probation. So I was just on probation. So when one day my phone was messed up and I can't remember. So yeah, my phone was messed up. And when they sent the text through saying I was supposed to come in for a random drug screening, I didn't get it until after the drug screening. So I immediately contacted the people and let them know my phone has been messing up. And I told you beforehand that my phone was messing up anyway. She told me it was nothing that she could do. Even though I had completed everything, never violated, never had a positive drug test. I was working. I had paid everything off, did everything. This lady just looked at me as if she didn't know me and told me it was nothing that she can do for me. And so
you're gonna get violated no matter what.
Yeah, it was nothing. Her hands were tied. So at that point, I kind of lost it a little bit. And then she was like, well, just calm down. I'll see what I can do. And she actually told me, well, if you get a drug test before we go to court, because I had to go to court because of the violation, that you'll get off that same day. And I'm thinking the system was actually maybe one time in my life would work for me because I was doing everything right. Everything. I went to court and like they always do, they let me down. And they didn't let me off probation like I was supposed to get off that day. And the nerve of her, she wouldn't even look at me because she knew she had lied to me. And me, I just didn't even care that I was talking to the judge. I was just talking to the judge with respect now, but I was talking to the judge as if, I was talking to you guys. And I'm just like, I don't want to do any of these things because she lied to me. I'm doing everything right. Why shouldn't I get off? But that just goes to show you that the system is just put in place, I don't know, to do what they feel like is right because they don't necessarily do what is right.
It's not about the humans that are involved.
No,
and I always found that, and I want to hear from the rest of the room because I know each one of us has been in this situation where the logical, rational, compassionate, human thing to do is the opposite of what they do. And I'm thinking, these are folks with law degrees, master's degrees. They've gone to college. They're supposed to be the smart ones. They're supposed to be the adult in the room. And so often there was no adult in the room. There was no one that stood up and went, wait a second, what are we doing here? This person has a job. They've got their kids. They're giving back to the community. They've done everything you'd want someone coming out of incarceration to do. And because of this technical thing that we're dealing with, I want to remind you, not even a failed drug screen, but a failed returned phone call. We're going to unravel all that. Can you all talk about your experience with just wanting someone reasonable to stand up and go, what the fuck are we doing here?
Real quick before let me just tell you,
Julius
a
ready.
lot of us were there in the courtroom that day that Shelley was there, and when she got summoned up to the podium, I've never seen anyone operate in the way that Shelley operated in court. Like, told the judge, I don't want that. Like, you don't hear anyone say, like, I don't want that. And then, like, she put her hand on her hip, and, like, you just knew, like, oh, she's about to fucking, like, snap on somebody up in here. It was really amazing display. But she really advocated for herself, and at least the judge saw that on some level.
It takes a lot of courage.
For real. Yeah, I mean, most people, you just sort of, I don't know, you bow down, you crumble, and you did not.
Oh,
crumble.
I fold immediately.
Yeah. Not in the slightest.
I am so fucking scared up there. Whenever we left Shelley's court date, I went up to her and I was like, you're not scared up there.
That's crazy.
And she was like, I'm not. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even get my words right behind a podium in front of a judge. Like, I'm like, please let me off probation. Please, I've done everything. Like, I can't. Shelley's like, I don't want to do that. This isn't fair. I'm just like, oh my God, she is fearless up there. I am like not fearless up there. Really quick on Leigh's question about like the things that happen that someone should understand. I had, when I got out of jail in 2022, I had 30 days to get a mental health evaluation with Meridian. And when I called Meridian, which is our local behavioral health place that does that, they had appointments that were like, I called them within a week of being out, said I've got 30 days. Their closest appointment for me was on like day 28. And so I was like, cool, it's a close call, but we're going to do it. And I'm borrowing like a family member's car that's shitty as fuck. And it's like, I'm driving down the road to go to the appointment on that 28th day. I have my newborn baby in the back seat and the car starts smoking and shutting off. And so I'm on the side of the road, no AC in the car, by the way. And it's summertime, 2022. And me, my baby, we're broken down. And I'm like, I don't care about anything besides, I should care about a lot, but all I need to do is call my
sweaty baby. Doesn't even matter.
No, I'm like, I got to call my PO because I'm not going to make it to this appointment now. And so I think first I called Meridian to be like, my car is broken down. I need to be able to come there ASAP, but it can't be right now. And they're like, our next appointment isn't for 3 more weeks. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work for me because I have 2 days. I called the PO. He like for a moment was like, I'm going to be, he like almost seemed like he was going to be understanding. Let me get back to you. So I get picked up. I don't go to the appointment and my PO calls me. He's like, no, you really do only have 2 days and my hands are tied if you don't get an appointment. And I'm like, I can't get an appointment. He's like, my hands are tied. I'll violate you. And so I know my car broke down. I had a picture. I was like, I can send you a picture of the car smoking if that like anything. Cause like, I'm assuming maybe I sound like I'm trying to dodge the appointment or I'm not believable and I'm a criminal and I'm shitty. Sure. Really, we just broke down. I'm taking pictures of the smoke of the car. But luckily, randomly, and by the, grace of the universe, I like found this other way that I could get this lady and it would count as a mental health evaluation, at least to my PO. My PO was cool with it. And she understood that I had 2 days and she saw me the next day. It was like a weird loophole that doesn't exist anywhere else, besides Levy County. And, I made it in, but my point is that I almost didn't. And before I was impacted in the drug world, I would be around people that were impacted all the time that had been to jail and prison. And they would tell me things like this. And before I was impacted, I'd be like, you need to tell your PO that your baby's sick. You need to tell your PO that like, it's like, I had the assumption that humans were humans, even in those situations. Little did I know. Little did I fucking know.
Can we just point out real quick, and then I do want to hear from Julius here on this question, but can we just point out real quick that none of this was about mental health, right? Like, lost in this whole thing, the PO, the state, the judge, they never cared about your mental health. They didn't look at your evaluation and go, oh, this person needs therapy. They have a baby. Maybe they need to get connected to maternal health care. Like, none of it was about you. It was about checking a fucking box. That's all it was. That's what's crazy. And then they're going to report that back and go, we got 3,000 people mental health care through the correction services. They use that data to check a box, but it wasn't about Kelly or if she's doing well. If she's got a sweaty baby broken down on the side of the road, which actually would make you have a mental health problem.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to jump into this real quick. The system really, really sucks, man, because it's like no room for it's like all the good of you doesn't matter inside the court system at all. If you find yourself in front of a judge, nothing good that you do fucking matters. It could be, I mean, you can have the smallest charge and be doing the greatest things out here. All they care about is your recorded history of wrongdoing. They will bring up stuff from 17 years ago to reflect your character on a driving offense. Like literally being in court for a driving offense, right? And they really want to punish you bad, right? They'll bring up all kind of stuff unrelated from years ago to try to overshadow your current character. And you can have people there will say, you know what? I want to advocate and just show who this person actually is beyond just this one action, who this person is in the community. And none of those things matter. I was literally in court on a VOP, right? I had done like maybe 30 months on a 3-year probation. I had the whole probation paid off. I had completed all of the drug classes, substance abuse classes, which wasn't worth anything. Literally, it was my probationer's like uncle who was doing the classes, and she was like, "Yeah, go to him." So it
Racking.
But listen though. Now that I think about it, it's like systems working in systems with each other, because he has his practice, right? And she's like, I can guarantee you customers, pretty much. I'm going to send my probationers over to you. You see what I'm saying? Literally, the classes wasn't anything. I went there one time, went to the bathroom. I used UPass. I was still smoking Molly at the time. No, this is like early in my probation. I was still smoking Molly, trying to deal with the stresses of reintegrating into a society that's not free, that's all of the good help costs money. All of the free help ain't worth shit. You see what I'm saying? So just trying to like self-medicate and still get through, and just seeing how much of a fraud and fake that shit was. But I still completed it, and I helped myself get off drugs. I helped myself recover. Like literally, I did it all myself, and with the help of people like you all in this room, knowing that Kelly was a person who I could relate to, and seeing her thrive, I would just not even talk to her directly, but just view her and view Kevin and view Scott and view Leigh, and just like draw energy from you all's experience to like overcome things. But the system is shitty, and being in the court, right, and just seeing just how fake and just like what do you call it, performative it seems sometimes. It's like they don't have a brain at all to think past this one way of thinking. It'd be like you would say all of this great stuff, and they'd be like, well, Your Honor, the first course of action, this courtroom is punishment, and he owes a debt to this courtroom. So after doing all of that, that I just said, paying off my whole probation. So I didn't owe any kind of monetary fees and none of that kind of stuff. Classes completed. Did 30 months on like a 3-year probation. I had like 50 people in the courtroom between both jobs. I was working 2 jobs in the community. I was working at the homeless shelter and working at Community Spring. And I had 50 people in the courtroom between both jobs advocating for my release, and a letter from the county commissioner. And the courtroom still said, you know what? Well, all that's good. I hear what you're doing. I can tell you made changes, but the fact still remains. You drove without a license. I believe you did it knowingly, and we're going to punish you for that. And for the average person, right, who's overcome so much but still has some financial barriers or some kind of court-ordered thing that's keeping them from just being able to live life in a more effective way, and they make a decision to, I want to make it easier for myself, I want to make it easier for my family, because it's not like that individual goes through things by themselves. Their whole support system go through it with them. You see what I'm saying? So, just for 90 days in the county jail, 45 days is enough to restart a person's whole life. After putting a year, 2 years into this recovery, 3 years into this recovery, I can interact with the system and get 30 days to 90 days, and everything's gone now. I lost my apartment. I come home. I owe like 3 payments on my car note. My insurance has lapsed. I don't have any clothes. I need to find another job because my job let me go. They couldn't hold my spot for me. So I was thinking while I was in there, like, dang, the system is presented as an answer to the symptom that people out here facing, right? While creating like a greater problem for people. Like every day they creating like more and more problems for the people, and they're not offering rehabilitation. And every bit of rehabilitation that they offer is like something fake to create stats. You know what I'm saying? It's something fake to create stats where they can say, long as you check this box or whatever, and they can say, well, we're doing it. We're offering them things. It's the people. It's the people. So I'm saying like, so, if they're called correctional institutes, right? Prisons are called correctional institutes. Only one prison in the state of Florida, that's FSP. All the other ones are correctional institutes, but no correction happens in there. And if their theory is correction comes through punishment, they should see that it's not fucking working and revise the thing. If Firestone tires right now, right? If every customer for Firestone, if all their tires bust, you tell them soon they left within 3 months after they're leaving, and we said, what are the drivers doing? We never look at Firestone and say, like, that's what's happening with the criminal justice system and with a lot of these systems out here.
I was just at the Criminal Justice Mental Health Substance Abuse Advisory Board here locally that's run through our county. And in the middle of the meeting, someone raised their hand and said, and by the way, this board has no impacted people on it. I'm the only impacted person in the room. But it's like the head of our mental health institution, a county commissioner, the head of the local hospital, HCA, sheriff, head police officer, state attorney, public defender. They sit on this advisory board and they figure out how we're going to manage people's lives in and out of these various institutions, whether it's a rehab or jail or prison, right? And none of it is about an individual. They never talk about Dave or Jamal or Shelley, or right? It's about these behemoth systems. And someone raised their hand and said, hey, I'd like to ask a question about someone that has been sitting in the county jail for 14 months, waiting on a placement in a group home bed. What are we doing? And so I knew who this person was because he started calling me a year and a half ago. The young man looks like he's about 14 years old. He's probably like 23, 24, but he looks like he's about 14. He's got the mental capacity of somebody who's about 12 or 13. He has dual diagnosis, mental health, and cognitive behavioral issues, right? He got to a fight with his grandma. His grandma didn't want to press charges, didn't want him to go to jail, but the state picked it up anyway. They were about to release him to the shelter on probation. And we caught it and said, you cannot release this young man to a shelter, right? With 150 people. He needs to go to mental health court where they can get him into the right program. We thought we were doing the right thing. Get him access to a program that is supportive. Here we are 14 months later because the state of Florida is 22,000 beds backed up on a group home placement. So he's just sitting there rotting in jail, doing further emotional and mental harm to this young man. And every day he calls and goes, Mr. Leigh, are they going to let me go today? Mr. Leigh, are they going to let me go today? And so we said, where are we at now? All these people in the room, movers and shakers, we can't think of a better option than to have this young man sitting in county jail. Well, it's not safe for him to go to the transitional house that sits on our mental health campus. Okay, well, what's that say about your transitional house? If it's not safe for him to go there, why is anybody there? Right? It's not safe for him to go to the shelter. It's not safe. Well, the group home won't take him because he's got a substance use problem, and a rehab won't take him because he's got a behavioral health problem. This is a systems problem. This happens to lots of people. So he's safer where he is. That's what they said. Literally safer where he is, in fucking jail. That's the system we're talking about that's supposed to be deciding what good and bad happens with our lives.
Can I say something real quick? I was just thinking, humans are weird, bro. humans are hella weird,
And
right? It's like we're the only living entity on Earth that pays to be here, and not only that, we've created this weird systems for ourselves. Like imagine viewing another species going through the same thing that we're going through. Like birds and other birds, you can't fly anymore. I'm restricting your rights to fly because you made a nest with these kind of sticks and those sticks are out there. That'd be hella weird to see like that whole process played out on another species that mimicking us as humans. And I really want to solve the human condition because why is this like this? It's like birds have no idea about lack, drought, or any of that kind of stuff. They're like, what are you talking about? Worms are out here in mass abundance. It's never not been this way.
Dude, you have so much pizzazz, dude.
I always go back to thinking like we really missed the mark. We could be all naked, eating fruit, and doing art. You know, like, come on, listening to music.
Laying in the field, like just looking at the
Come
sky.
on, bro. Come on.
All right. Well, as we start to wrap up, Shelley, I want to talk about like what the next parts of your journey are, like these hopes and dreams and gratitude and resiliency and willpower that got you to this point. Obviously, you have the tools to do so many other things. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about this shift now that's happening now that your fellowship is over at Community Spring and you're back to just having a 9-to-5 type job, right? I know for me, that was really hard when I went from like facilitating classes and doing the kind of work I wanted to be doing to like working at a Ruby Tuesdays. That was really hard for me. And I had to like really adjust my expectations, and I had to find my soul food somewhere else, you know. And honestly, I didn't know it was happening to me at the time, and I eventually imploded all over again. And now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, I wasn't like feeding my soul somewhere else, and I was depressed. I just didn't realize it. So can you talk about like what the next steps are for you are, and how you keep finding yourself? You mentioned I'm a poet, not just a mother. And I think that's like really important that you keep seeing these different parts of yourself. How are you going to keep feeding that? And what are the next steps for you?
Just continue to elevate. I just see elevation in my future, not necessarily knowing what that is or how that looks, but I just knew from when I was small that I was destined for greatness. I'm never going to give up on that. And yeah, the transition, it is weird to be back, you know, working a regular job, because coming from Community Spring, which I mean is the best job ever.
They don't do shit. Oh, hey. Work a fucking day.
Oh my God. I loved working at Community Spring because I found also not just, you know, learned policy change and things like that and how to advocate. I found myself again, and I found how to love myself again, rather. And so I'm really gonna miss the whole group of guys and girls over there because they're my family, and I love them. But you know, this is just part of the elevation, and I'm just gonna keep it moving, and whatever fashion that looks like.
I got one more thing I want to talk about before we end. Shelley, in her application for the fellowship, mentioned love when we did the thing on her last day, when we were walking around, going around talking about things about her. Julius, you mentioned that she talks about like part of who you are is you want humans to love each other and the world to be love. And I think that's a great way to end. So tell us about this love thing.
Well, it's something that I felt like I've never had, you know, authentically. I feel like I've never been authentically loved, by family or anyone in my life. But, since being this new person and being around these new people, my new support group, I feel love. And it kind of encouraged me to just not give up on that, because I know that it's out there. Sometimes it just takes longer for others to find that, and I just wish that the love that I do have inside myself, that I was born with, because I'm a lover by nature, I just hope that the world one day could just be like, you know, on the same thing, you know, just love, because with love a lot more get done, you know.
Oh, Shelley. You know, this is unrelated to any of this, but you're talking about correctional institute and like how that term is like used for like prisons. San Quentin, which is like a really famous prison in California, just changed its name to San Quentin Rehabilitation Center. And so there's some sort of like, I don't know, maybe a really slow awakening to like what's really going on and like a need. I mean, this will to be determined on how that actually goes, but that's like actually kind of a big deal. It just happened like in the last like week or two or something. Oh, wow. So that's something's going on.
I'm gonna tell you something. It's kind of unrelated to. Sorry about prolonging the time, but if you ever actually been there,
magic of a podcast. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
If you ever actually been in prison, it's like a dark market underworld or something. Because I was just in prison, just like soaking things up. You know, I had an idea of what prison was from watching TV shows before I ever actually went, and it was like the worst idea of what prison can be. You remember a show called Oz? Yes. That shit was crazy. So I can remember watching it as a child and then expecting prison to be something similar. But when I got there, right, I found like role models. I found some like male role models, guys that helped me, that attached to me, recognized I was young and helped me like get in physical shape and gave me kind of material to read. It was a lot of stuff I could get into if I chose to. There was the gang culture, but I was surprised to see that the worst people, the most corrupt people, and the most dangerous people in prison was the officers. I received the most traumatic experiences in prison from officers. You see what I'm saying? Then understanding like the whole working for Pride thing, the Pride industry. At the camp I was at, it was like Pride Forestry, and you couldn't work there unless you had a lot of time or whatever. And the highest amount you can get paid was 55 cents an hour. 55 cents after, and you got to that point after being employed for at least 2 years. You see what I'm saying? And then literally it was like a fucking lumber mill. They're making all of these mulch and 2x4s and all of this stuff, and I thought it was just weird. And I also recognized that prisoners or inmates run the whole system. When you're going through the intake process, they ask you about skills and what are you good at. Literally, when it was some plumbing work needed to be done, I was surprised as fuck to see people with blue uniforms on the fucking machines digging, doing like plumbing. So like the whole system is fueled by the inmates. It's like this weird like reverse slavery shit. It's its own universe, and then everything that's out here is in there. You see what I'm saying? Like every bit of drugs, any kind of illegal contraband. It was like when they did away with cigarettes inside of the prison system. Now cigarettes became like a multi-million-dollar industry on the black market, though. You see what I'm saying? Well, like a guard could bring in the cheapest pack of cigarettes, like a pack of Clipper cigarettes that cost like $1.50, and sell them bitches. You know what I'm saying? And sell each cigarette for like 2,000 times a marked up rate. So like prison is definitely like this industry that's fueling economies like under the radar. So like prison is corrupt, and the people facilitating the space, like the officers and the warden, they are some corrupt people.
The biggest gang,
the
DOC is DOC.
Crazy.
And that's a very Florida thing too. When I was in prison in Indiana, and I'll never forget, they served us tacos one day in our unit, and they were sliding the taco trays through the hole, and one of the inmates goes, "Hey, I didn't get a taco sauce on my tray." And I froze because I was like, oh, this dude's about to get the fucking shit beat out of him, right? Asking for a taco sauce packet. And the guard came over and was like, oh, my bad, and gave him taco sauce packets. And I was like, oh, shit, y'all haven't been to Florida. Ask for a taco sauce packet in Florida and see what happens. But up there, it's the people you're doing time with that you have to worry about. And in Florida, it's the guards that you have to worry about.
Well,
yeah.
We know in Alabama, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's other states that are like that for sure. But it just, Florida is like the worst for sure.
And anybody, right? Soon we're going to have people on here who've done a significant amount of time. I got some friends that's coming out soon. They did like 10-year bids back to back. Gang affiliated, so they've been all the gladiator camps here in Florida, whatever. They can attest to the fact that the guards are corrupt. Like you can really be like,
yeah, they're betting on fights.
You can really argue. Let me tell you some shit that happens in prison all of the time here in Florida that I've seen happen, that I've had happen to me. You see what I'm saying? While in there, you can get into it with an officer just advocating for your own human rights to be respected, right? And the officer would be like, oh yeah, okay. All right, you would much rather officer cuff you up than to just let it go because the officer would go pay another inmate. The officer put a hit on you for something small, like hey man, I'll give you a quarter ounce of weed, 2 packs of cigarettes, and a cell phone. I need you to get this motherfucker off this pod. I need you to air flight him tonight. You see what I'm saying? And then facilitate the opportunity for it to happen. You see what I'm saying? Like
yeah, the worst guards are the ones that are real nice to you. Like while they're pepper spraying, how's your dad doing? Like Jesus, man, it's beating the shit out of me. Fucking, all right, buddy, go ahead and cuff up now. All right, well, we've got a bunch of good shows coming up. Shelley, thank you for joining us. We've enjoyed the show. Not only have we enjoyed this show, but we just enjoy watching your life blossom, and we're always here for you. We've got another episode coming up in about 2 weeks, and then Julius and I are heading to Atlanta, and we're going to have like 10 episodes back to back because we're going to interview all of the Represent Justice ambassadors. Make sure to go to our website, uncarcerated.org, where you can find all the shows, and all the shows are on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you can find podcasts. Please like, share, download, subscribe, so we can keep telling these stories.